Any other use of this telecast, or any pictures, descriptions, or account of the game without Cactus Media X or Arizona Cactus Football League's consent is prohibited.
Welcome back to another week's of the Commish Picks with your host, Matt Archer, the commissioner of the AzCFL. And to my front of me, I guess it wouldn't be side to side, right, my man?
Right.
My buddy, friend, Bush Franchise. There we go. I fucked that all up because you're fucking with your phone.
Yeah.
James Franchise Bush.
Yep.
There we go.
Threw you off a little bit.
It did.
All right.
Kind of caught me off guard, the headphones. I was like, what's that noise?
Yeah, you're like, hold on, why is this so loud?
Yeah, I pulled the mic to you, man. I think somebody messed with the
Hello.
settings while we were on break this week.
All right.
I have to talk to the sound guy, get him fired. Anyways.
I might have to.
Well, we're back to another episode. I'm excited about this week, man. We got Qtr Finals coming up. So,
Man, been hyped, man. Been hyped.
how was your week leading up to tonight?
Man, it was good. Busy. Getting ready for, obviously, like every week, we're getting ready for different things with the league, different things going on.
Yep.
Work's been busy, putting in a ton of overtime. So,
Yeah.
been busy, been good, though.
Cool.
What about you?
Oh, dude, I had a couple days in the field, back to the old Phoenix Heat. So, but overall, doing well, man. We got a lot of things checked off this week. Got the All-Star nominees in, so we'll talk about that a little bit in the show, and then got some new stuff for the facility coming up. So we're working on that. Obviously, we talked a little bit about that last week.
Yep, remember that.
Got championship shirts ordered. Those should be ready next week. Trophies getting ordered on Monday. Got photographers lined up. I mean, we really put everything into place. So tomorrow's going to be our true test run of what we can do as just one facility with full staff capacity.
Yep.
So I have all hands on deck to see where we're at, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But this week's been good, man. I didn't have to travel. I thought I was going to have to stay up in North Phoenix Wednesday night, but I was able to make it back home. So
Gotcha. Okay, well, that's always a good thing.
Yep. So, but obviously nobody's here to listen to our personal lives.
No, not at all. We don't. I mean, they don't really care.
No, they don't.
They don't even care about us at all. But
No. Hey, well, we appreciate them tuning in just so they
appreciate
can
that.
throw their shade tomorrow when they win and lose.
Donovan
So,
said the sound sounds good on his end. So
well,
yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I guess we'll see.
Yes,
You
we
never
shall
know.
see.
But anyways, I mean, it sounds good on our end now. But anyhow, anyways, they came to listen to us give our uneducated, uninformed picks and bias
This is
predictions.
Very true. Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of knowledge in this kind of thing. So
No. Only been dealing with the teams hand in hand for 3 seasons now.
yeah,
So.
it's like that
Cool.
sometimes.
Well, let's get right into the playoff picture. Talk a little bit about the setups, the graphics here, and actually wrong scene, guys. My apologies. Let's go into the actual graphic.
There we go.
Silverbacks took the loss last week.
They did.
Controversy from only that team talking about why they lost, but at the end of the day,
Hey,
we'll get into a little bit, but it's any given Saturday at this point.
they didn't show up ready into play. They got punched in the mouth from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys touched on it that the field wasn't ready. There's, just the logistics was kind of not all done. So it kind of just preluded into.
Yeah, there was a lot going into that, right even before the game, we didn't start the game on time. The field wasn't set up. Some of the stuff that was out of their control as well. Obviously they don't have, there's only so much they can do with what they're provided. But,
Correct.
that was something that took a little bit away from the beginning. And I think it maybe took a little bit of focus away from them at the beginning.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got to regroup and
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look good in the beginning of the game. A
Yeah.
couple of fluke plays, which obviously we can kind of talk about and go from there. But,
Yeah.
It happens. It is what it is. That's why it's a 60-minute football game. So,
Yeah. Well, we hope to see them next year, and I hope they
see
have a
what
good
happens.
off season and can regroup and work on some of that stuff. Hopefully, with COVID restrictions almost fully lifted in the state, we can get away from some of the restrictions that all our schools put on us, and over the last couple months. So
locker rooms and all that kind of stuff.
all that stuff. So we'll work on it. And then obviously we had the Reapers Headhunters game. I was there for that game. I talked about it in the actual owners meeting about. It's probably one of the funnest games I watched all season. Both teams held their heads high, and not a lot of sideline scrimmaging or debacles and competitive back. One would score back and forth, but I was sitting with one of the other team coaches that's not in the playoffs, and we were just talking about, kind of how at halftime it was tied 14-14.
Yeah, 14-14, right? Yeah.
And the Reapers went down to the end zone. They huddled up. If you look on their Instagram, there's pictures from that huddle, so you can kind of get a mental feel of what it was like. Headhunters are spread out on the sideline, down getting hamburgers. Dudes busted 2 in the parking lot, smoking right outside the gate. Like, it was just like in my mind, they had given up. Like, they just accepted the fact that they probably weren't going to win this game, so they just lackadaisical. And I said, this is why they're going to lose the game. They're not focused right now. And I'm sure there might be some headhunters watching and argue with me, but go back and watch film. I mean, we can pinpoint it to, like, it was live, right? So, I mean, we have that footage. But the point is, that's not the time to take a break.
Yeah, not in a 14.
Especially when
game.
you scored first and and you're attacking every drive. Like, that's not the time to. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, they couldn't pull it off. But kudos off to them for starting off slow. Remember, we talked about it, like, we didn't even know if they were going to make it through the season just because of that first game performance. But, credit to them for making it this far and giving it a good fight. But at the end of the day, the Reapers well deserved that win.
Yeah, I think that kind of, I mean, like I said, I wasn't there, in person, but I know when we were up, in Prescott, we were kind of watching it a little bit here and there while we were watching the game, and it just, you saw the Headhunters and 14-14, we were like, oh, this is going to be a good game. Yeah. They come out third quarter and just blow the top off. Yeah. Just throwing deep passes left and right, and I mean, you could see that they came in, looking at it from a 0-0 game, they came in and they were just ready at that point to, they let's put it this way. After talking to some of them throughout the week, they didn't, obviously, as they should, they expect to come in there and win the game. When it's 14-14, you're not, you're in a dogfight at that point. Yeah. And that's not the kind of game that they want to be in. Especially when the Headhunters scored first. Yeah. Like, they came out swinging, and I was kind of shocked at how quickly they scored. So, I don't know. I mean, I can sit and analyze the game all day long from a personal perspective, but at the end of the day, better team won. That's just the bottom line. That's what happened. So 29-20. Good game, though. Congratulations to the Reapers moving on to the next round. So we'll get right into this. So we got the matchups here. Got that Rebels and the Owls taking on each other at 7 o'clock. And we'll get into each game here in a second, guys. I'm just giving you a quick breakdown for those that are just joining. Outlaws take on the Phantoms at 1. Spartan take on the Thunder at 10 a.m. And then the Lions Reapers game at 4 p.m. Should be a good set of games. Yeah. So we should really, it'll be fun to definitely watch. It'll be fun to, sit there and work through those things. So, hey, this is what we've been waiting for all season. This is my funnest part of the year, and not because it's almost over, but because it's like you've had all season to tweak, you've had all season to analyze. You've got, almost every game to review. You've got enough game footage to really come out with a game plan and really figure out where you're going to go at. So, well, it's one thing we talk about, you got a 10-week season to get to the chance to everybody at the beginning of the season has a chance to win a championship. That's every single team has that chance. Yep. Now, obviously, throughout the season, you kind of see the differentiator on teams being up, down, it kind of starts to kind of play it out. I will say this has been one of the more competitive seasons that I've seen from top to bottom, where there's not, outside of the Rebels being undefeated, that jumble in between for the rest of the teams. I mean, the Lions kind of set themselves apart, as well, which we'll kind of talk through. But that 3, 4, 5, 6, really, I mean, even into the 7 seed with the Roll Tide. I mean, I know they finished a game out. Yeah. And even in the other conference as well, you had multiple teams that up to that final week had a chance to make it. Yeah. I don't think we've had a season like that I don't know. We don't know how last year would have played out, but even a season before that, I don't feel like there was. Oh, there was blowouts every week. All over the place. Every week of the whole season, there was a blowout or two. I think this year we only had 1 or 2 weekends where it was a real separation. A ton of blowouts. Yeah. So we'll see. Like I said, this is what we've talked about waiting for all season as it starts to take shape now. Last week, I guess, in essence, was the beginning. Now we're really, leave it all on the field, and go from there. Obviously, you need to continue to win each week. Yeah. But you got to leave it on the field each game to have a chance to move on. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
and hopefully the cooler heads will prevent, because there's a lot of last season guys this year, like they were supposed to be last year, but COVID, they decided to give it one more round. So I know there's a lot of emotions in a few of these games. Some of these owners and coaches are going through some personal stuff,
right.
and that a lot of people aren't aware of, that you and I are kind of privy to. So I know there's a lot of pressure from some of those teams to perform for their head coach, owners, or whoever is having that turmoil.
Right. Yes, sir.
And I never want to take away from anybody's family like that, but at the end of the day, like, your team's got to win the football game.
Yep.
And hopefully guys that are dealing with that kind of stuff, if they are, they can recognize that if they're being a bad influence on the team. You know what I mean? Like, they're just letting their emotions get to themselves too much there. So, but enough with that.
Yep.
But congratulations to all 8 teams that are moving on this weekend. Like I said last week, unfortunately, only 4 of you are coming next weekend. So let's jump right into it. So our first matchup we have here, 10 a.m., we have the Spartans versus the Thunder. So we did away with all the records.
Yep. Everybody's 0-0.
That don't mean squadouche now.
Yep.
All
it means is at the end of the season,
you
put it on your ring.
Yeah.
That's really all it means now at this point.
I mean, we got your seeding in there. So the Spartans are sitting at number 3, taking on the Thunder, number 6 seed at 10 a.m. at Yonker. So I'll let you start. Well, most of my notes are pretty driven towards one team, but I don't know if you got any pre-words here.
No, I think it's gonna be an interesting game. I know we kind of laughed and joked about it last week a little bit, and I think even the week before that there was a little bit of chatter, being that it is a 10 a.m. game.
Yep.
For a team that has to travel 2 hours. Now I know most of them are going to be coming down, I guess, tonight to be ready for the game tomorrow. They said talking about getting hotels and different stuff like that, but a little bit of gamesmanship there, a little bit of chess, not checkers, I guess you could say.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, if that has any, because that could play out different for both teams.
It could.
It could very well, since backfire. You never know.
It could backfire on the Spartans, and it'll be the laughing stock for the next 6 months.
Hey, very, 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 very much could so. So we'll see. But I think that the Thunder are going to come in with a chip on their shoulder a little bit.
Yep.
Each time that these two teams get together, it's always a really, really good game.
Yep, it is. It always is. Yep.
So I think that the Thunder come in, a little bit upset, a little bit annoyed that they have to play a 10 a.m. game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they had a 10 a.m. game all season.
It was one.
It was 1 or 4 or 7, right? So
no, 1.
Or 1.
I think they played at noon in last game in Tucson. I think we did it at 1 or noon.
Oh no, that one was at 1 as well. Yeah, because it was 1 and 4. But so they haven't had an early game. So I'm interested to see how they come out. I know they have a lot of veterans on that team that have been playing for quite a bit of time. Number 0, always making a making a force back there in the backfield. 94, making it number 7.
Yeah.
So a lot of these guys, that make plays. The biggest thing for me now is going to watch and see. I know the Thunder won the matchup in the regular season.
Correct.
Close game, but the Thunder won the matchup. So I'm interested to see how they come out in a 10 a.m. game, what that looks like for them.
Well, and it's hard to explain this because biased people will take it a certain direction, but that was the first game back Spartan, or first game that G was there on the defensive side. So the first game he actually had to really coach and be part of it. I think that was the first game that they had a role with Scotty. I think that was, I may be wrong, but I think that might have been maybe the second game total, or maybe the first full week of practice. So I know they had some issues on the offensive side. And, the defense the Thunder defense did their job, so
they definitely did.
Like you said, that they got some big plays, or big players, big guys on that defense that really can swing a game one way or the other.
On both sides, actually.
Yeah.
Both sides, for sure.
I think for me, the Spartans are on their 4th quarterback. And,
true.
As transition goes. I heard they got a 5th one. So we'll see if he shows up this weekend and plays or not. I know he kind of stepped out for a little bit. Now he's back, so he's
Who's
back.
Who's his 5th quarterback?
Well, Trey would be the 5th quarterback.
Okay.
Obviously, he came in and replaced Daniel beginning of the season, got hurt, and for whatever happened, he disappeared for 5 weeks. He checked into 5 games, and then nobody saw him.
Just disappeared, yeah.
So
that's tough, man.
They never cut him. He checked into 5 games, so
I have mixed feelings on
Yeah.
that one. I won't go into too much on that, from a personal level, but I don't know what the level of communication was. But I know in talking to some of the guys, I don't know how much communication there was. Obviously, like right when all that stuff first happened, I know there wasn't hardly any communication from what I.
And I think that's going to be a tough road he's going to have to try to repair.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm interested to see how that plays out because that'll be.
But with Trey, rumor is coming back. I don't know who's
Hey, at the end of the day, you're gonna with whoever shows up.
But if I'm helping that team in any direction or coach or owner, I'm sticking with who I came to dance with. I ain't gonna lie, Spartans will hate me, but Scotty got them to the playoffs. That's just the facts. Without him adjusting and becoming that quarterback and RPO or whatever offense you want to call it, he's the reason the offense started doing well.
Yeah, I mean,
he had to no discredit to KD. He did his job as the backup, but in high tense situations, if you watch any of those games he played in, he couldn't.
Yeah, it just wasn't mentally.
He
there.
wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
So to say they're on their fourth quarterback, that is correct. So
be interesting. I know that defense has peaked. They've been playing.
Defense is
they've
awesome.
been playing lights out. I know I give the DBs a lot of grief, and I will say that they've shut me up for the most part for the rest of the season. Obviously, I'm not taking any credit for that by any means, but I gave them a lot of grief about, not playing up to their standards.
Correct.
That they think they should be playing to, and I think they'll be able to say that they weren't playing up to what they needed to. That front seven was doing its job. It was the back end of it that was getting beat.
Yeah,
so
the secondary.
The defense has been playing very, very well. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it's going to be a defensive game tomorrow. I really feel like it could be a coin flip either way.
Yeah, it can.
I don't.
Well, see, maybe I'll sway you here in a second. The player I want to watch is AJ Smith. He was a late addition. I think he came in week 4. He's technically listed as an outside linebacker, but he's more like a Chandler Jones D end, quick off the ball. But if you watch any of the film, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's an animal. I enjoy watching him along with a couple other people like, Howard Paxton and Freddie from the Thunder.
Right.
Those guys that are just
high motor.
The high motor.
Yep.
Alderman on the Rebels. We'll talk about him when we get to that game. But you know what I'm saying? I like watching the high impact guys. But my decision is going to go with the Thunder 12-6, and here's why. Because a little birdie told me that they've had bad practices the last 2 weeks.
Okay. Who's that? The Spartans?
The Spartans. They're coming in thinking they're dog walking these guys because they went, since they lost to them, I think they've won out. So with big games, play at game of the weeks, so they've kind of got the arrogance on them again. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if the birdie was just lying or not, but it wouldn't surprise me because it happened to me my first year when we went to playoffs. We went into the playoffs winning, and we had 12 guys at practice the first week of playoffs.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that that team would do that.
Man, they're saying lies on here, but that's fine.
Okay, I'm not at practice. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you that we have people that talk to us, and that's what they were saying, that they were disappointed.
I was just about to say that I don't come
disappointed
to any
in practice.
but...
They thought it was going to be better, and the team's morale is they're just going to walk through these. They're already looking into next week. So my thought is pump the brakes. Like I said, Thunder got something to prove. 10 a.m. game. They got to drive up here. They lost. They won the last matchup. When they played them 4 or 5 weeks ago. So I got the Thunder 12-6.
Yeah, this is an interesting one for me. I know I got a lot of guys on the Thunder that that I vibe with. That they cool dudes, great athletes. Same thing with the Spartans. I really think that it's going to be a close game. No matter who I pick, I'm going to get grief on this one.
Oh yeah.
From both sides. But I'm honestly, if the Spartans show up to play, I think this is going to be the key to the game, and this is the part where. Kind of like in that game last week, we talked about we didn't go over it, but the Silverbacks Owls game.
Yeah.
The Silverbacks offense in that game isn't a come from behind offense. They're used to playing ahead.
Yep.
That's one thing with the Thunder. I think the key to this game is going to be if the Spartans get up, I think it's going to be tough for the Thunder to come back. Okay. Because that Thunder offense is more privy on ball control. Mm-hmm. Not that they don't throw the ball down the field once in a while, but after I watched that last game this past week, or not this past week, but 2 weeks ago, that Thunder offense couldn't move the ball on the Rebels at all, and they pretty much ran the same couple of plays. They didn't open the playbook up at all, which in essence, I guess they were locked into the playoffs. So, I mean, I guess it really only was a seeding thing, but that offense looked really bad. Even the Thunder fans up in Tucson were getting on them, yelling at the coaches and, stuff like that. So I think that's the difference in the game.
Okay.
Is if the Thunder get behind, I think the Spartans roll them.
Gotcha.
If it's a close game, I think that whoever has the ball last potentially wins the game, kind of like what we're going to talk about in some of these other games. But I'm actually taking the Spartans in this one.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a 2-score game. I'm going with 22, or no, excuse me. We'll go 24-16. No, excuse me, 24-12. 24-12 Spartans.
Okay.
I think the Spartans, like I said, I think they get up early, and I think they end up coming out with the victory. But
Okay. All right.
I think that's really going to be a tone setter for the for that. But I think the Spartans are going to score in the air.
Oh yeah.
Because I think that the Thunder defense, that run defense, has been solid, but I think they will score in the air because I feel like they're gonna spread that ball out.
They use that play action.
Use the play action, and then like I said, they're gonna spread the ball out. I mean, kind of like the Rebels did. The Rebels, for the most part, ran a spread offense as they have all season, and kind of picked the Thunder apart here and there, moving the ball downfield that way. So, so we'll see.
Cool.
We shall see.
All right. We'll see that game bright and early, 10 a.m. tomorrow. So, cool. All right. Next matchup, we got the Outlaws Phantoms. So, Outlaws coming in on the 4th seed, home team against the number 5 Phantoms at 1 p.m. at Yonker. Now, if the Phantoms come out like they did the last time they played the Outlaws, this is going to be a quick, short death for them. So my question is, does AD play? I know he's been kind of nursing an injury. They had a bye week in week 10, bye week last week because of the wild card, so they've had 3 weeks to really heal up. So is AD on the field? I don't know. Derek wouldn't answer his phone today when I tried to call him. So, but the biggest question more is, does Fisher come out and do what he's always done? Coach the offense with Litchie, put the people in the right place, set the plays up, give those blown plays just to show them something, and then come back with something that's completely different and,
right.
Bust out, 70-yard touchdown, whatever. Or do the players still give him grief and not 100% buy into the system that they've been struggling to install for the last half of the season? So,
yeah, it's going to be interesting. They have struggled on offense this year.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always been a defensive-led team, but
Coach
they
Brad
have
does a good job on the defense.
Yeah, they have definitely struggled a lot on offense this year. They have not looked like the same team that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
And what will be interesting this year, I think, is do they? I think we talked about it before, but can they make that run in through the playoffs, and can they get that championship that's been eluding them? Since back in the day when they were in, I believe the AzCFL. I want to say is the last time that they won a championship. I don't remember them ever.
Talking about the Phantoms?
Yeah,
they've never won a championship.
Well, the Phantoms have not won a championship, but when they were the Globe Miami Sting, they won in the AzCFL. They were in the AzFL, they were one of the powerhouses for that for quite a bit of time.
Yep.
But obviously, with that being the case, that's history at this point. And as the Phantoms, they've always historically done well.
Yeah.
But they have never been able to get over that hump to win a championship.
Yeah.
So I'm interested this year. I don't know. I mean, talk about quarterbacks. They're on their 3rd or 4th quarterback as well.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you who
I don't.
I have to look at the roster.
It's been. I mean, they've kind of. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think that this is think it's an interesting game because I think the Outlaws are another team, though, like on the flip side of that. I don't know what I'm going to get from the Outlaws from one week to the next. I literally don't know what I'm getting from them. I don't know who's playing quarterback. I believe Jay started last week, and then a couple drives, and then Tony came in and played the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, like, it's kind of been that two-quarterback system.
Is that the right move this deep in the season, going into playoffs, still shuffling quarterbacks? I mean,
well, that's what I'm interested to see.
Say the same thing about the Spartans. I mean, it's the same concept. I shouldn't say a team lives and dies by the quarterback, but that chemistry is always,
If you're one-dimensional, it's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
If a team, I hate to say it, but if a team's going to obviously come up there and they stack the box, and you can't make somebody, if your corners are out there playing one-on-one or whatever the case might be, which the Phantoms will do a lot.
Yep.
They trust their corners, they trust their defense.
Well, and I think now our league's starting to evolve into a dual threat quarterbacks. Like, we can't just have a throwing quarterback anymore or just a running quarterback. Like, our teams are starting to realize that you got to have do both. We'll get into that when we get into the Reapers game. But, you're right. Like, I don't know what to expect from either one of these teams, and it's kind of one of the saddens me because I'm just – it's a coin toss. Like you said, I want both teams to win, like, because I like both teams. I like a lot of the players on both teams, the coaches, owners. So it's really hard for me to say one or the other. But if I just had to go off the last couple of weeks of the season, because that's really what we're looking at, who cares what you did in week one? That didn't matter. That's going to be completely irrelevant now. I got to give it to the Outlaws. Just because we don't know what Fisher's going to show up with. We don't know, at least I know a little bit more about the offensive options with the Outlaws than I do the Phantoms.
The one thing that's interesting to me with that is, if we're going based upon a whole season's work, obviously the Outlaws have looked better than the Phantoms.
Correct.
I mean, that's just overall they've looked better.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I mean, you're looking at a 4 or 5 seed, so it could go either way. But the one thing for me, I think, is going to be the like you said, I think we kind of know a little bit more of what we're going to get with the Outlaws offense for the most part. As long as the Outlaws don't turn the ball over, I think that they'll be able to move the ball pretty well and be able to kind of go down the field. But the big thing will be, can they score?
Yeah.
Obviously the Phantoms, don't break.
The Outlaws did a horrible job when they played the Rebels. I think they had 3 turnovers or something, 3 interceptions, and they drove it down. And I think they might have scored once.
Yeah.
I have to go back and watch film or in games. But long story short, you got to finish those drives.
Very much so.
So, but yeah, I got the Outlaws. I'm going with 14-12.
So you got a close game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
14-12 Outlaws. Okay. So I'm taking the Outlaws as well. I think that they come out and they get the win. We'll go with, we'll say 20-12 Outlaws.
Okay. All right. That'll be a very, very fun game for sure.
Yeah, like I said, I think that could. I'm not sold on the Phantoms' offenses. Like I said, my biggest thing. Like, I think that they could win the game. Obviously, like let's put it this way: if the Outlaws have more than 2 turnovers, the Phantoms win the game.
Okay.
I feel like, but I feel like they're going to not turn the ball over. If they do, I think it'll be like 1 interception maybe. If it's Tony throwing the ball, Tony will, throw the ball up, and he's good for an interception here or there.
Here or there.
I mean, he likes to take shots.
Lorenzo's long lost brother. How do you say that?
Hey, we shall see. So
cool. All right, so we both got the Outlaws. That'll be a fun game. We will have all of our water jugs at the games, guys. So you'll have 4 or 5 per sideline this tomorrow.
I was gonna say, yeah, we'll have a ton of water.
And we got 2 guys dedicated to water. That's all. That's their whole job tomorrow, is just making the rounds on the water. So we shouldn't have any issues there. But we're going to go to a quick sponsor shout out. I'm going to let Bush take over this one if he's ready. So go ahead, my man.
All right. So One of the sponsors is going to be the Bond of Brothers. So that is a group that Raphael Lee, along with some other guys, established in 2014. A small group of men dedicated and focused on cultivating investments, pushing new brands, youth development. They have most notably donated to the American Diabetes Association, Muscular Dystrophy, Red Cross, and WaterAid.
Okay.
They're a proud sponsor of the Arizona Cactus Football League. So
appreciate
start to hear
those
more
guys.
of that.
Yeah, we'll start seeing them in the live streams and stuff when it comes to those things. So shout out to my partner Raph for getting that started with you guys and his I'll call them brothers because they've been friends forever. So
yeah, definitely.
Shout
So
out to
and
those
I
guys.
know they've kind of brought me into the fold with that, so I appreciate those guys. So
yeah,
definitely we'll be starting to see more of that here as we kind of move through. So
and that's the one thing, just speaking of different endeavors that Raph and I get ourselves involved with. A lot of people think we're in everything together, like everything. Really, there's a lot of stuff he's doing that I'm not part of that group,
right?
And I'm not mad about it either. Like I'm excited that he's doing something on his own or with other guys and expanding himself because I know I do got some stuff on my own that I'm doing. So those of you that always think that me and Raph own everything together, that's not always the truth. So, but awesome. Well, thanks for that, man. Yep. So we're going to head off to the fourth game. The Reapers and the
Third
Lions.
Third game, right?
Third game. Sorry,
Third game.
My bad. Fourth slide. It's been a long week, man. So the Lions Reapers game. This is the game I'm most excited to watch. I think I'm up in the box doing Overwatch, but I might have to come down to the sideline for this game.
Okay.
At least some of it. I want to be right there in the action. So I guess that's the perks of getting a green wristband, right? So, and then we skipped a segment. We'll go back to that one. My bad. I was so excited to talk about this. But anyways, so we got the number 2 seed Lions taking on the number. I guess it would be the seven.
Number 7 seed.
7th seed.
Yep.
Reapers. So after watching the Reapers play this last weekend, I wouldn't say I'm a changed man, but I'm definitely open to discussion now.
Okay.
Especially with that quarterback, KP, he's the heart and soul of that team.
Very much so.
I never wish anybody to get hurt, but if he gets hurt, I don't see that team pulling it together.
I honestly don't even know who the backup quarterback would be.
That's my point.
Yeah.
You have to be careful when you put all your eggs in one basket. And that's a little advice to the Reapers listening. KP got a long 3 weeks, man. I'm just being real. If you're really trying to make it to the championship, it's 3 weeks. You have to stay healthy. You have to play smart. I saw him take some unnecessary risks last weekend that if I was the coach, I'd have been in his ass. Like, example, it was like 4th or 3rd and short. He got the first down. Oh, no, he decides to get 3 more and take one of the linebackers head on.
Right.
Dude, what are you doing? Get the first down, out of bounds, no hit, and if you do get a hit, you get 15 yards. No,
right.
Let's take the risk in concussion, busted shoulder. Come on, man. Like, I know you're young, but you got to think a little smarter. You're in the playoffs now. There is no time to recruit and come back. You get hurt tomorrow because you made a bad choice or whatever. I don't know if they survive.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they make it through the game. But on the flip side coin, or however you want to say it, kudos to him for being that big of a leader.
Yeah.
Like that's what that team's been looking for, is a true leader to lead the team. So, definitely looking forward to watching him play for sure.
I agree. They, kind of as we've been talking about all season, they kind of historically haven't been a good team.
Correct.
I think this is the first year that they were above 500.
Mm-hmm.
First year that they have made the playoffs. It's first year that for me, honestly, that I can remember them even being really competitive per
Correct.
se.
Yeah.
Like they were, in all seriousness, to me, they were. I don't want to say a joke, but they were a team that when you saw them on the schedule, you didn't think it's not like it was a team where you see like a team like the Rebels on your schedule, or you see a team like the Outlaws.
You're not
you're going to be in.
Date.
Yeah, you're not circling that date. That was more of a. Teams were looking at that like, hey, I'm going to put up 50 points like a stat game.
Yep. I was just going to say that was a stat game for most people.
They have a ton of weapons.
Yep.
When you think about You think about that team. You have number 8, who runs really good routes, really, really fast. 17, Jesse.
Yeah.
Another one. They've got a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. KP's been putting some of those passes on the money.
Oh, dude, some of those are NFL. I mean,
yeah, it's just great throws.
Perfect spirals on the dime. I mean, it's impressive to watch, but that's what I meant by, like, I'm open for the discussion.
Yeah.
Like, when they lost, I think we talked about it last week, and I'll mention it again. When they lost to the Headhunters the very first time this season, the way they conducted themselves was a totally different team.
Yeah.
I was coming down the sideline, down out of the stands, knowing that they were they were losing and they weren't going to win. Like, there was no way they could win mathematically. I was coming to the field to prepare to start tossing guys out of the game because I was expecting them to implode. And hats off to them, man. They didn't. There was a couple players, upset like every game.
Yeah.
But nothing. High-fived the other team, hugging each other, went down to the end zone, had their little powwow. I got to listen to them frustrate a little bit, just in frustration. Wasn't anything that I would consider a team bashing each other or anything. And in front of the scouts, too. That was the day the Utah team was there. So, credit to the Reapers for really keeping their composure. And that's the kind of stuff that I want to see. I don't care if you win or lose. It's how do you conduct yourselves, and they've turned it around. Tyler's done, I wouldn't say 100% great, perfect job, but he's definitely 180 degrees for sure.
Yeah, they definitely are. To me, like I said, they're definitely a team now that you don't circle and think that you're going to put up 50 points on,
Now, do I think that's going to affect the outcome of who wins? I don't think it's going to change. But I don't think the Lions are going into this game thinking this is a stat game by any means.
Well, didn't they? I mean, these two teams, didn't they play earlier in the season?
I think
as
so.
well?
Week 2 or 3.
I was gonna say it was early in the season. With the Lions coming out on top. In that game, the Lions are an interesting team for me. I know that they say we hate them. There's a lot of talk throughout the league and this and that or whatever, but they're quietly having a
good season,
really good season.
Yep.
I believe they finished at 8-2. I believe, right?
Yep.
I want to say 8-2. I believe
8-2, yeah.
With the number 2 seed. There's been internal drama, but the one thing for me, is I don't know how much of that is just for Facebook. I just don't know. There's a lot of guys over there that they like to have a good time. They like to, go to Facebook and say different things, and get on Red Zone and, this and that. But they're a really good team. One of the things I think about, as much as, he'll get on here and he doesn't like what we talk about sometimes, but Vonnie has them playing well at this point.
That's one of my bullet points is he's doing what he said he was going to do.
Yeah. Came in, said he was going to coach, have a good season.
Yeah. We the behind the scenes drama, that's all entertainment to me.
Yeah.
That's just for us to play Wendy Williams and Jerry Springer and all that fun shit. But at the end of the day, they're winning football games. Bonnie's coaching both sides of the ball. So whatever he's doing is working.
Yeah. They're winning games 8-2.
And the games that they lost, they didn't get blown out. It wasn't like it was 40-2.
No, they lost in
a couple points.
Double overtime to the Outlaws.
Outlaws, yeah. And then the other game was with the Rebels I don't remember if it was close or not, but it wasn't a blowout. I remember that.
For that one, I don't know if the score, I mean, like I said, everybody will kind of have their own opinion on that. I mean, I think it'll only end up being a 1-score game.
Yeah.
Because I know Dre had one of the late touchdowns. But they are, at the end of the day, they are still technically the returning champs.
Yep.
Obviously, we don't know what would have happened last year, but we just take last year out of the fold. They're technically still the champs until somebody knocks them off.
That's why I said earlier a couple weeks ago, I just want to crown a new champion, whether it's them as the new champion, this season's new champion or re-champ, or however you want to describe it. I honestly don't care who wins the championship. I just want to know that they won and they did their job.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, like I said, I think it's going to be interesting because this is a game that, this is a game that a lot of people are picking the Reapers, which is I don't want to say surprising to me, but I've seen it mixed. There was a post on Red Zone, and obviously I don't know how many of those players were Reapers players, Lions players, but there was a post, and I'd have to go back and look at it, but more people picked the Reapers than the Lions.
Well,
but obviously I don't take too much merit on that because if you look at how many people maybe don't go on there.
My
but
personal thought is because of maybe some arrogance that bleached through, social media with some of the Lions players, and obviously people want to pick against arrogant people. But I don't like to call them arrogant. It's cocky, I'm not cocky. I'm confident. I mean, there's different ways to say it.
Hey.
But Vonnie and the Lions as a whole have a right to be there.
Well, I'm interested to see what happens because I know that Tyree has actually taken over quarterback for Arturo. Now, whether or not that ends up being the case, I don't know if he's hurt or if that was just a change that they decided to make.
That was their champ quarterback from when Fisher, right?
Correct, okay. And he's been playing corner and receiver.
Okay.
But he's stepped into the mix and played quarterback for him. Been having a pretty good season so far with what since he stepped in.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting one for me. You kind of talk about what you were talking about in the game before, with the dual threat quarterback.
Yeah.
He's one of those players that, even though he's a smaller guy in essence, he's one that could take one to the house, just like KP could.
Yeah.
It's you've got that.
Yeah. Don't underestimate him by any means.
So. I think it's going to be interesting to see that Lions defense has been playing great as well.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens there. I'm interested to see, if I'm going to see how they play. I think this will be a really good game. I think it's going to be a better game than I think a lot of people are gonna think. But kind of go on with my picks here. I'm taking the Lions in this game.
Okay.
I think it's, like I said, I think it's going to be a good game. But I think that the Lions' experience in, I guess you could say, bigger games.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Reapers got a win last week in the playoffs, but the Lions have been a seasoned team in terms of obviously winning a championship, and they've got that experience.
Yeah.
That could hurt them also as well, in terms, I don't want to say being cocky or arrogant or anything like that, but experience potentially wins out over the non-experience. And I think that the Lions just will be too much for the Reapers tomorrow. Taking the Lions with a 26 to 15. 26-15 Lions.
All right. I think this game is the first half is going to be 14-14. And I think whatever happens at halftime, we talk about the experience.
Adjustments, experience.
That's when it's going to end up being, I'm going to say 30-14.
30-14,
yeah.
Okay.
30-14 Lions.
Lions, okay.
Yeah. I think that Tyler still a little, still needs, some experience under his belt in those big game situations. Reminds me when the Spartans played the Phantoms, I think it was our first year, and we were up 24-0 going into halftime, and they went in there and they drank the magic juice or whatever the shit they did under the bleachers, and they came out and whooped the crap out of us just because of the adjustments.
That's one thing that I know that Vonnie says we hate him. Well, more so says you hate him than me. But needless to say, they saying you struggle to get that out of your chest picking the Lions. Hey, Matt gonna go home and drink, right, fellas?
Shit.
Take a bunch of shots.
No.
But no, I think that in all seriousness, I think that I think that it's a game of, it's a game of chess.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I will say that I will give Vonnie props on. He has been, I don't know what other coaches they have. I know they have like a special teams coach, I believe, Cliff.
Mm-hmm. That might be it.
And I don't recall seeing too many, other coaches, but I think that the adjustments is the big piece of the game, and I think that Vonnie will get the better of that. So
yeah. And I think he'll do what the average football player would be considered dumb in the first half, because you're talking about him setting things up.
I was gonna say you're not gonna show everything that first half. He's gonna give
them a bunch of stuff that we got this, and then he's gonna come out totally left field with some random plays they've never played. Nothing's on film. It's a brand new offense they installed over the last 2 weeks. Because he is one of those guys.
Hey, why show everything all at once? Like I said, you don't. That's something. Maybe you hand the ball off this way, or maybe you run a play action the first time.
Yep.
Come back and see what that corner does on the play action, or what those linebackers do coming up, or you kind of have your, I guess, setup plays, I guess you would
Yeah.
kind of say, and like I said, kind of go from there. But
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a good game.
Oh, it'll be a fun game to watch for sure. I think it'll be an exciting game. I think it'll be a lot of, where's Matt at? Let me talk shit to Bush, and they're gonna want to know where we are. So
That's fine. I'm gonna be down. I'll be down
right
on
on
the
the
field.
sidelines.
I will be
Well,
down the field.
Good luck to both of those guys. So before we move into the last game of the week, I want to talk about season awards.
Yeah.
I tasked you and Raph to handle that the last couple of weeks, and Raph's been doing some due diligence, and I will give everybody the rough format, kind of how it's going to roll out for those guys shooting for that. We asked each team, either coaches or player reps, to nominate 3 players from each team. Offense, defense, special teams, whatever, just 3 players, any position. And we will start our poll voting on Sunday, and we'll go through the, I think Thursday, so almost a week, 5 days, and we'll announce those guys next week. And the awards are going to be MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player, and Coach of the Year. So I think just to make it simple, everybody's listed that was nominated, minus the guys that had a suspension or ejection. Per the bylaws, you're not eligible for an award, so sorry, do better next year. But I think that was only 3 guys out of all, what was that, 93 dudes or 91 guys that we got told. So, and then obviously coaches, speaking of coaches nominees, Vonnie, congratulations for making the list, and you're welcome. That was me. So, just to give some guys some stuff, and we'll talk a little bit more about it at the end of the show too, but look for that coming out Sunday. It'll be a one vote type thing, just pick one from each question, and we'll total up the tallies, and we'll, I'm debating if we want to announce the total number of votes per person, but I think that's something we should do just to show people the difference in how we came to those conclusions. So we'll announce those winners next Friday, and then we will give the official awards ceremony halftime at the championship game. So you guys will get something from us, from the league, to kind of remember that, and so on and so forth. So we'll get some more details next week after we kind of know who's in it. So I know it's been kind of getting questioned, what's this, what's that. So, we could give out 1 million awards.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's really only a couple that matter, So, and then, like I said, we'll do that halftime of the championship game.
Yep.
So if you guys happen to see your name on there Sunday, start finding pictures. That's one thing we need hopefully from you, is some action plays, action shots from you guys. And then as we start to narrow down the, kind of the bigger, because obviously it'll start separating.
Yep.
So once we get into Tuesday and we see who's really at the top, we'll get into the, start bugging those players. So there you go, guys. So that's the season awards we'll be handing out here soon. And then the last thing on the sponsors, just want to, talk a little bit about Aunt Shell's Bakery. She, I think she'll be at the games this weekend, I think 4 and 7. If you need to know exact times, reach out to George Bell. That's his aunt, who is another one of our official sponsors for this show. She makes some great bakes, man. I don't even know how to describe it other than you just got to eat one. You got to eat the chocolate cake, carrot cake. It's all good.
I can actually say I can vouch for it now.
Yeah.
Raph actually brought me one over to Sunny Slope a couple weeks ago.
So Raph and I felt really bad. It was a day, it was hot. The matchups weren't really that good, so she brought a bunch of stuff and there wasn't hardly anybody there because it was almost 95 degrees or something. It was hot that day, the first hot day of the year. So we dug deep, and I think we bought her out that day. And we just gave it out to everybody, all of our staff and you guys and some fans, just to show her the love. So she'll be there. We will have concessions, obviously. Don't even.
They said you've been eating the hell out of them cakes.
Oh, bro, don't even start it. I lived off fast food for 3 weeks straight, dude. I probably gained 10 pounds. Yeah. Anybody that knows me, haven't drink. Anyways, go on. So,
all right, carry on.
Shout out to Aunt Shell. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow out there at the games. And when you guys get a chance, go ahead and try to get some of that food. We'll have concessions there also, sodas and Gatorade and stuff like that. So, cool. Almost done, man. The shows are starting to fly by now that we don't have
well, because we don't have 90 games
to go through.
Not gonna lie, I'm kind of
lucky, kind of glad,
kind of lucky, kind of happy, because we'll be over here talking for 2 hours. Like,
yep. And then especially tomorrow, we got to be at the field at 8.
Yeah. Well, I will say that, like we were talking about earlier, though, tomorrow's one of the few days that I'm actually happy, genuinely happy to be out there. Not so much that I'm not happy to be out there, but when I know I'm going to see a game that's going to be probably 50-0, even though it's fun to talk shit, I would rather see good football to where it's good games. So I'm actually excited for that. So
yeah, me too.
Be early games. So I know I'm going to go home and get on that PS5. So
okay.
Figure out what we're going to play. So, yes, Donovan, 8 a.m., sir. I don't think you have to be there that early,
no.
But, those of us that...
And we'll talk about that in a minute when we get into, like, the facility stuff again. So, but let's get our last game wrapped up, and we'll talk about a couple bullet points, and then we'll sign off for the night. So we got the game of the week, the Rebels versus the Owls. Wouldn't have been my choice for game of the week. Just putting that out there. Just being honest with everybody on the show that's listening and watching is going to rewatch this tonight or whatever you want to say it is, but wouldn't have been my first choice for game of the week. However, as we explained last week, actually, we didn't explain it last week. That was on the owner's chat.
Yeah.
We let the top seed pick.
Yep.
That was the Rebels, which game time slot he wanted. Then we went to the next seed, which was the Lions, so they got to choose the 3 remaining. Then we went to the Spartans, and then obviously the last one was for the Outlaws game. So Ed being who he is, and part of the reasons him and I get along, he's proud that, they're undefeated, only undefeated team in the league.
Yep.
Kudos off to him. Regardless of personal thoughts, they've won every game. And so he got that right to be that person. So game of the week, 7 p.m. So we'll be live streaming that. But as much as I love our live stream and everything, it's not the same as watching in person.
It's not. The only thing I'll say, the difference that I do like, if I'm watching a game from home, I'm not out there when it's 100 degrees.
Correct. And I can have a beer when I'm at home. But for those people that can't make it to the stadium, that's why we do that. So, but let's get into the picks.
Yeah.
Owls coming off the mat. Let me back up. Number 1 seed, Rebels taking on the number 8 seed Owls at 7 p.m. at Yonker High School. The Owls are coming off a magical win. A magical win, in my opinion.
Can't say I disagree.
The first 2 touchdowns. The first touchdown was definitely a fluke. I went back and watched that play.
Yeah, Lamont came down and made a hell of a hit.
Hit that dude so hard, the ball popped up, and I don't know who called that play, but there was another receiver in the exact same spot. So he got the ball, ran it in untouched.
Hey, right place, right time.
Oh, but wait a minute, that was the ref's fault.
That was the ref's fault, though, because the refs let him run that route to allow him to get
let him run the route.
Right.
So, and then the second one, I think the defender jumped a little too early and barely missed the ball.
No, he tipped it.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He tipped the pass.
Zoomed out a little bit, so I couldn't.
Yeah, no, he tipped the pass, and the receiver just still. When he tipped it further, and it allowed the receiver to take it. And obviously, from there was no one there to do that. But it's because the ref got in the way, so he couldn't intercept the ball, though.
Correct.
The ref was running down the sideline and was on the field instead of, in the white line where he was supposed to be or something. That's what I heard. And then I heard there was a pass interference on that play too, but
interesting.
I don't see it. So I don't know.
Hey,
couldn't just be a couple of good plays either.
Well, I was gonna say, blind dog gets a bone every once in a while. It's just every game there's a fluke play.
Hey.
Missed touchdown. Look at that Rebels game when Tui or Martin 2 hit those guys 3 times. Like, dude, tackle him. He just kept come on.
True.
So.
Hey, it happens.
So, but no discredit to the Owls. They won the game.
Hey, they did what they needed to do. That kind of goes to like we talked about. They came out and punched silverbacks in the mouth.
Yep.
Period. Regardless of the two fluke plays, they still had to play the rest of the game.
Correct.
We can kind of say, I think we went in there, but yeah, they don't have those 2 plays. If you take 2 touchdowns off the board because they didn't get any other extra points, it's a 14-12 game. But obviously, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
You don't just take scores off the board.
Well, that's for the DFL.
Then
we go in and change stuff up. But anyhow.
Moving forward, I shall not speak on that. But no, like I said, overall, this kind of comes down to like I was talking about before. I think I was talking about this with the Spartans Thunder game.
Mm-hmm.
the Owls last week came in and punched Silverbacks in the mouth. This week will be interesting to see, was it just the Silverbacks all year? Was it just the Silverbacks thing, where they came in and they were just better athletes, made better plays, got some lucky plays. I hate to say it, but anybody can say what they want to say, but luck is a part of certain things in football.
Yeah.
You look at last week with the 2 of those plays, that's a perfect example of it. Ball bounces the wrong way on a fumble. Receiver tips a pass, and it ends up getting, intercept. Like, there's just things that are, a lot of it is skill, but some of it is luck, too, with the way the ball bounces.
Correct.
And then some of it, too, is knowledge of the game as well. I think earlier in the season, one that baffled me was a team got a safety. They got the punt, and then on that punt, they didn't realize the ball was live because it was a punt on a kickoff. Things like that can change a game. Obviously, we talk about fluke plays, but it's things like that that can potentially change a game.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting tomorrow to see, was it just the Owls having better athletes and just getting a couple of lucky plays, or are they for real? A lot of people will have a lot to say, about that. So I don't know. We'll see. I've said I think the Owls have a good offense. I think that defense is solid as well, but you're not going against any slouches. No disrespect to the Silverbacks, but the Silverbacks D-line is not the Rebels D-line.
Correct.
Or defense in general.
Correct.
Yes, the Silverbacks were 9-1 until they played that game last week. But they are not, they are not going against the Silverbacks. They are going against the number 1 seed Rebels.
Yep.
So I know that it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like.
I think it'll be a fun game. I think that this is going to be my bias, right? The Rebels are looking to continue their win streak.
I mean, they've been winning
now
all season.
Now is when it matters. It doesn't matter in the season, like you lose 1 game or you lose 2 games or whatever, you're still in the playoffs. Like you lose tomorrow, you're going home with your head down and your tail tucked between your legs.
Yeah. Not wrong. That's for every team.
More so with this team.
Well, I mean, yeah, the 10-0, that kind of goes back to the Silverbacks last week. 9-1 means nothing at this point because
Correct.
they're on the same boat with D. Will and everybody else.
Yep.
I think D. Will's already went and picked all those teams up. So I don't know if Sunday he's going to be picking some more teams up. I guess we'll see if they make that.
See.
But like you said, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, but if it really counts, it's now. It's
Yep.
really now is really when it counts.
Hey, 0-0.
I saw Lorenz made the honorary captain award this week, which I was wondering if he had a great practice or not because they didn't play last week, so it was kind of interesting to see that. But the reason I bring him up is tomorrow, next week, and the following week. I'm just playing this out. This is when Lorenz needs to really be the captain. Honorary captain to me is kind of a slap in the face. Like Lorenz, you need to have a C on your jersey by now. And tomorrow, that's when it's really going to count because they're going to need you to lead that offense. I already know the defense is solid. They got multiple leaders on there. Guy Brown needs Lorenz to make the right throws. Lorenz, you need to throw it out of bounds on a botched play. I know you're not listening. You probably are listening, but you're not going to listen to me. Like, you're going to have interceptions tomorrow. And I think once that happens, I'm really going to watch to see if he bounces back. But at the end of the day, Lorenz definitely, I've seen him do that. He's done it for me. Like, I've seen him, have his moment on a sideline, go sit down, what guys like to call pouting, gets in his head a little bit, and then he snaps back and he's right back in the game. So if he can avoid that little intermission and just stay focused on the game and winning and don't care about stats, just about the win, I think Lorenz going to have a great game. When he starts trying to get to where he wants to be, player of the game and that kind of, confident level in his mind, that's when he starts to make dumb mistakes. And I think that will be the reason the Rebels lose. That's my personal opinion. The Rebels lose tomorrow, it's because Lorenz let them down. And I know that's a lot of weight, and he's going to argue with me and have every excuse in the world why I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, when you really look at it, the quarterback's the captain, the leader of the team.
Not wrong.
You need to lead the team, Lorenz. And I'm rooting for him. Trust me, he's one of my, as much as I talk crap about him on the show and get in his ass about shit, he's one of my favorite players to watch. But at the end of the day, me loving to watch you doesn't win you championships.
Not wrong.
You know what I mean? Like, and as much as anybody wants to argue with that, like Lorenz, it's on him tomorrow to lead the offense. As far as what's going on in camp or in practices and all that stuff, I don't know. I know they got hit with some bad news a couple weeks ago, so I'm hoping that they can rally around those individuals and really pull together and really be a team. Because there's a lot right on the line for these next couple weeks for those guys. On that personal note, I'm not going to air the laundry, but those that know. So, but at the end of the day, like we talk about, the Rebels are number 1 seed for a reason. Undefeated Owls are coming in the 8th seed, barely squeaked in the playoffs. Showed up last week. I don't know what happened, but they drank magic juice or, something. Maybe it was Coach Rusty. I'm not sure. Somebody gave them something, and we'll see if they show up again tomorrow. I do. Some birdies did tell me they're a little nervous for being the first game of the week that they've been on, especially in a big, high-profile game. It's going to be how do they conduct themselves when they get smacked. So.
Well, you kind of take it back to, they're a young team, kind of like the Reapers. Yeah. I believe the Owls did make the playoffs the first year of the CFL, or might have been the second year.
Well, second year we had COVID.
Well, first year they did make the playoffs, barely. I think they were under 500 and made the playoffs. I know that was my last year of playing with the Ravens, and they beat us out by points against.
Yeah.
That year, but needless to say, with that being the case, I think the difference in this game, I actually think Lorenz has a good game tomorrow. I think that he'll have a solid game. I think they're going to work the run game in. I think the big thing for this game is going to be in the trenches. One thing that I saw last week with the Owls over the Silverbacks is the Owls set the tone in the trenches. There was multiple times where I saw, guys on the Owls make great plays just based upon D-line play. Yeah. Linebackers filling the gaps and basically on a nice time blitz where the line didn't talk and they make a great play. Kind of like I said before, though, the Rebels' defense and offense, for that matter, offensive line, defensive line, is not the Silverbacks.
Yep.
Period, point blank. They have done what they need to do on the defensive side of the ball. And I think this, like I said, the Owls were airing it out last week.
Yeah. They got their quarter. Akil?
Yeah, Akil played a great game last week.
I watched him play. He's since he came back from the.
They have some really good receivers. You obviously got Dom, Cam Shepard. Mm-hmm. They have some really good guys over there. Good young receiving core. But I think the trenches will be the key. Akil wasn't really under pressure a ton last week. The Silverbacks didn't get a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. One thing that'll be interesting to see for me is like guys like Gatlin. Yep. Going against, depending on who they put on his side, potentially Zach or Alex, Dylan, Alex. You have Tui. They're in the, in the middle. Mm-hmm. And obviously you have that secondary, Martin too. Yeah. Fluke. It's going to be it'd be interesting because I think ball protection is key there. I think Renz actually made it. Renz said ball protection will be key. And I'm interested to watch that matchup tomorrow. Because like I said, you got Fluke going against some of those guys that I just mentioned. Yep. Now we'll get a chance to see, hey, was it just a mismatch where they were just running open last week and Akil was just making great throws and things like that? Now we'll get a chance to see it.
Yeah. Who do you think they target? Because I know when the Reapers played the Rebels,
they were targeting number 20.
They were staying away
I don't
from
know
Fluke
number 20, but they were not throwing at Fluke. They were throwing at number 20.
Yep.
Which I apologize. I'm not sure off the top of my head on his name, but they were throwing at him all day long, running hitches all day long.
And
then they would go over the top.
I heard they flipped Fluke to the other side, and then
they just started throwing the other side. It was actually hilarious. Well, two wasn't there.
Oh, okay.
And but it was kind of funny to watch because it was Fluke. You could see Fluke getting frustrated.
Yep.
And so Fluke would go to that side, and 20 would switch over, and immediately they were throwing back hitch over here. But I will say, like I said, he played outside of just like when they were going at him. He made a bunch of plays too. Yeah. But there was one or two drives where they consistently were just going at him. Which the interesting part in something like that is, you think about it, like, who are you going to throw at? Are you throwing at Fluke? If Fluke goes and covers, or two and Fluke go cover your best two guys.
Yeah.
And then you have someone like that. You go make one of those plays.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously you're going to get more, it's just like in the NFL. You have guys like Richard Sherman. You have guys like Tre'Davious White, some of those guys where they go take your best corner or your best receiver.
Yep.
Those other guys are going to get thrown at. Now it's their job to make plays. So I think that he actually is going to come out with a chip on his shoulder tomorrow. Take that personal. Hey, 20.
20. Okay.
Come out there, and I think he comes up with a couple of big plays tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not anything. It's not a secret. To we'll watch film and to see what teams do. And, guys, like I said, he's had a great season too. I've seen him make plays as well, but it was just that's one game that came to mind for me with the Reapers going at him.
A little nugget of information for those watching.
But I think that with all that being said, I'm taking the Rebels in this game.
Yep.
But I think, like I said, it stems from the D line, the offensive line, in the trenches there.
Dwight's out.
Out. That's one thing that I can say with the Rebels is not with like a lot of teams, but they have multiple guys that multiple guys that could potentially be starters on.
Their depth chart is probably the best in the league, I think.
That
overall.
I could agree.
But Dwight's just such a leader and a quiet person on the sidelines, but on the field, man, he's in everything. And same with Alderman. If Dylan, right? Dylan Alderman, that's his first name, Dylan. Isn't there two of them on there? Last name Alderman?
Well, there is, but the other one is in Florida, so he's doing MMA stuff right now. From what I understand, he'll be back. Yeah, he'll be back next year, though.
So, speaking of Dylan specifically, man, he's got to have a little more patience. I remember one game. I don't remember game of the week. It was a Spartans, maybe. They had him off sides 5 or 6 times. It was.
That's the same in flag.
Is it? Okay.
When he was playing flag, he's fast to get off the line. But it's one of those where you can get him a few times because he hears that instead of he's watching the ball, but he hears the sound.
Yeah.
And he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah.
Same thing in the flag game.
So, the offensive for the Owls, pay attention to that kind of stuff. Those are the things that one thing that Raf. I didn't know this, but he told me to watch when we were playing defense, watching the hands, and I never quite understood that. And he was telling me if their knuckles are all white, they're probably leaning forward to go for a run. If their knuckles are just barely dangling, they're probably backing up for a pass.
Well, there's a lot of different things like that you'll see on film.
And I was going to say, you can't see that on the film. But as a player, if you're standing there, as if I'm Akil, and I notice that this guy's he's timing the ball every time, I have to tell my team, hey, we're going on 2. Yeah. Just our dead play. We'll see what happens. So,
Well, Ren's actually took the words out of my mouth, but I was going to mention it. You talk about, a guy like Dwight not being there. But when you think about that D-line between Tui, you got Alexander Williams.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying that it's
Well, no, but I'm saying a guy that came to my mind that I was thinking about that would potentially take his place. And I know they've kind of been doing a rotation. But Kevin, number 44.
Yeah.
He's having, Ren said it here, he's got 6 or 7 sacks on the season.
Yep.
And outside of that, he's one of those guys that's around the ball all the time, kind of like Dylan, around the ball all the time. So they have, like we talked about, the depth, the athletes to go in and do it. But I think to kind of go back, I'm taking the Rebels in this game. I think that the Owls' inexperience in the playoffs will be the deciding factor.
Yep.
Because I think the Rebels are going to jump out quick. And I'm interested to see. The Owls are a team, though, that if it's something where they have to pin, if they're going to throw the ball, that's probably the strength of their offense, too, is throwing the ball. They have some great running backs, too, but throwing the ball is what gets the job done for them.
Yeah.
So, but I'm taking the Rebels in we'll say a 30-14 game.
Wow, okay.
30-14 game with the Rebels.
All right, so that's you, huh? I'm just making notes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the Owls, I can't argue that fact. You're going to have a tough game.
I do think they make some plays, though.
Oh, like I said, it's not going to just be
I just don't think it's
50-0 blowout, but I definitely think when you're watching the game, we've said it all season, the Rebels, man, they're like sharks. As soon as they see the blood, dude, once they get up and they know they're up, it's balls to the wall. Like, they don't slow down one bit. But with it being a playoff game, if they do that, do you start substituting the second string guys? I would, knowing that if you're up 3 touchdowns, you just keep your starters in all game, knowing that you're going to have to play some big team.
I'm not
next
saying
week.
all game, but I'm also not. I mean, it depends on if we're 2-3 scores. I don't know how much I might let my backups play. This is one thing that I talked about before. We talked about playoffs. Unless we're up by multiple scores and we're like fourth quarter with 6, 7, 8 minutes
what I mean.
left.
I'm not saying do it in
okay.
the
I'm
first
thinking second.
quarter.
I'm thinking you were talking about second half.
I
like
just know
early.
Ed. Ed, when he decides he wants to humiliate a team, he doesn't slow down. And sometimes the risk of that is losing a good player. But
I could
know,
go get a drink of water and roll their ankle too on a helmet or something too. You just never know.
I
get what you're saying.
Or be like me, slip going up to the press box.
Or you could go up to the press box and try to get in the press box and
bust your knee open.
Yeah,
but anyways, so I got the Rebels. I think the Wrens, if he can keep, like you said, the ball protection and those unnecessary throws to a minimum, I think he's coming out looking closer to 40 to 45 points. But I'm going to go 40 to 6. I just don't think that their defense is going to be able to handle the Wrens in the offense. And then obviously the defense of the Rebels is just, if I had to pick a defense to go play anybody in the country, it would be that defense right there. So that being said, that wraps up our games.
Yeah.
So good luck to all you guys tomorrow. We got one more segment and we'll wrap it up. Just some stuff moving forward for the games tomorrow. If your team is not in the playoffs, you are now a fan. You can buy your tickets online. They're still doing square at the door, but do not come to the player gate. You will not be let in. There's only 8 rosters at the player gate. This was talked about in the owner's call. All staff members, if you're not on a roster, you pay $5, and you do not get a green wristband to get into the field of play. So rosters have been printed. They were finalized again this week. All updates were done as teams saw fit. If you are a player and you're checked into the game to be on the field during your game, you have to wear your jersey. If you're hurt, you're the water boy this game, you got to have your jersey on. Okay? If you don't have your jersey on or a green wristband, you won't be let through the checkpoint. We'll have a security guard there and league personnel checking all of that stuff. If you bring your kids to the games, keep them in the stands. They will not be allowed on the field. If for some reason they keep sneaking on the field, we're going to have to detain them. No, I'm just kidding. We'll find out who their parents are, and then we're going to ask you guys to go ahead and leave, because we really want to make sure the teams have all their available focus and no distractions on the field while they're playing. And then obviously we have extra staff roaming around. All the games will be at Yonker this weekend, next weekend, and the following weekend. And we'll go from there. Player gate opens at 8:30. So if you get there before 8:30, you're going to sit in your car. We're not even opening the gate. So we'll be there at 8 setting up. Fans can come in at 9. So if you bring your girlfriends with you, kids, whatever, they got to stay in the cars or wherever they need to be at night until 9 o'clock. And, concessions will be there. Got an announcer this time, so some music, national anthem. All the rosters, I believe, have numbers on them now. Hopefully. So we'll get some name recognition. So I'm hoping that tomorrow is a prelude to what we're looking into next season.
Sure.
So, and then obviously no alcohol, smoking. We will have a youth practice on the practice field tomorrow. I think they practice at 10. So there might be some kids running around, guys. So players, please check your your words. We got some youngsters looking up to us. They're going to be in awe of all you guys suited up playing. So, remember, we're role models for the younger guys. So, but yeah. Anything else, Bush? Any comments I need to address? I'm surprised the Wren's not shooting me right now through the phone.
No, it's funny. He said, I don't know how I feel about him picking me. LOL. It's like reverse psychology.
Clearly it's not working.
But no.
But I am sincere about that, Lorenz. He knows that. He knows I follow his quote career closely. I may not comment and bring it up to a lot of people, but I do pay attention to the stuff he's working on. There's a lot of players I follow that nobody knows about, just because of sake of conspiracies and all the other shit that people like to talk about.
Yeah, no, it hadn't really been a whole lot today. Today's been more of a chill day, surprisingly.
Next week though. Oh boy. We got a big show set up for next week.
I mean,
if the outcomes happen that we think they will.
We'll see what happens there. I mean, obviously, we'll come back next week. Well, actually, we'll be able to come back and, go from there in terms of, who won, what happened. Obviously, we'll see
A little
that
bit of a
firsthand
recap,
tomorrow,
yeah.
but we'll have a recap, obviously, and, go from there in terms of, different stuff like that. So
Sweet. And then we'll have our schedule, right? We got show next Friday.
Yep.
Then the show before the championship. And then we're going to do a special closeout show on Sunday, June 6th. So we'll get into some league announcements, obviously talk a little bit about the game we watched the night before, and talk a little bit. Maybe we'll have one of the winners or the award winners on the show. Maybe we'll have a couple other extra people. And then we take a break.
cannot wait. Cannot wait. So
I love the show, but man, we need some new content. So
so somebody actually did ask. So what do you say? He said, "What do y'all do for the youth in the league?" Right, Carla, are you meaning like helping with like the youth like leagues, or what? What exactly are you meaning?
what are you talking about?
No, somebody had asked like, "What do y'all do for the youth in the league?"
Oh, you're talking about this Saturday with the kids being there?
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking for clarification.
No, that was just a note that got sent to me that they're because the youth Stampede and some of the league that Sean and them are in, that's
Gotcha.
their home field. So they don't have a game this week, and their Florida team is practicing. They go to Florida next weekend for their big national championship game. So he was just letting me know that they're going to be on campus tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so no, he was more meaning like, so for the young guys in the league that want to go to college and want to go to different things like that, how are we trying to help them at this point?
So right now we have obviously the Utah Senate that came down. That's not a college, but that's a pro thing.
Yeah.
But that is on our list for the next phase. Really, at the end of the day, to help the young kids, like they have to want it. We talk about Daniel and Trayvon Williams and a couple other kids that have went on to, Daniel Smith and Trey, who went, finished his college career in Miles in Alabama with Daniel. It's hard for us to say we'll do stuff. And who asked that question, if you don't mind me asking?
It was Carlisle Yearwood from the Owls.
Okay. Carlisle, to be honest with you, man, there's too many knuckleheads in our league to really get true college scouts to come check you guys out. And I'm not saying that derogatory towards any team, just the general for us to help you is to get them to come to the games. So what we try to do is give you your huddle film, give you your stats, give you like a professional league. So when you're marketing yourself as a player, oh yeah, I heard of CFL. Yeah, they're pretty good dudes, right? We're not trying to highlight all the debacles in the parking lot and all the shit that goes on in the normal semi-pro. So it's really how you present yourself, right? Because that's one of the reasons why I'm not on social media so much, because I don't want people to, see that personal side of me, because this is our business and this is what
Right.
we're trying to push you guys to be. We don't want our league to be a joke in a sense. So when you can say I play in the CFL, oh yeah, I heard of those guys. That's a good league, man. Awesome. You got stats, you got film. Oh yeah, let me send it to you. Like that's how we're helping you currently. Now we've been in talks with the JUCO. The whole Holcomb League, I think that's how you pronounce it. A couple of our coaches or players and coaches in the league are on those couple squads. So there's a potential for us to bridge that gap there. But at the end of the day, man, it's really how bad does a player want it? If they need our help, we'll help them. But I'm not going to bring a scout to the game for one player when there's 40 on the field acting crazy.
Yeah, and Carlo, kind of piggyback on that. That's been something that we've talked about. We had the semi-pro scout, the pro scout,
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to call it. Currently that, is up there from Utah, and some of the stuff that we've done in the past. And I hate to say it, but it just, knock on wood, every time we've had guys come out before from different, college or,
Mm-hmm.
Smaller colleges. I'll be honest. Like, it's not like we're getting Nick Saban to come out, right?
Yeah.
But like, whenever we've had something like that, some shit happens to happen. You've got a fight on the sidelines between teams or, things like that. And I hate to say it, but it'll be something where they see that kind of stuff and they're immediately gone. They're not asking us any more questions. They don't care about anything that we have to say at that point.
It happened our first season, I think week 2 at Westwood. An IFL scout came to watch the games.
Yeah.
And the very first game, I think it might have been the Vipers. It was one of the teams not around anymore, but the player and coach got into on the sideline, cuss and scream at each other. They had to separate them, and I'm sitting up there, and I saw him literally within seconds just get up and walk out. And I was like, well, there you guys go. And I never heard from him since.
Yeah. So it's stuff like that where, as we kind of move forward, that is on one of the things that we're working on throughout the with the that side of things in the off season, like Matt talked about, trying to bridge the gap on certain things and then figuring out, can we work more with pro teams and stuff like that, and semi-pro teams for that matter, as this stuff kind of goes along. And then also with the colleges, one of the things that kind of hurt us a lot was, with Arizona getting rid of the JUCO in terms of MCC, SCC, Phoenix College, all that kind of stuff from a with that kind of stuff, we're kind of limited as to what we have. But I know that that's one of the things that we are discussing and talking about in the off season as to what we can do for things like that. What does that look like, and kind of go from there. So it is definitely a focus.
Does it get fixed in the next 3 months? I don't know. I don't know if that's the correct answer for him. We have other things that impact the entire league before that, impacts 10 players or however many, really want to go. Yeah. At the end of the day, too, just a little fatherly advice to some of you guys, like, you're the reason you're not in college ball. And that's just a straight, no feelings response. Your choices are determining why you're not in college ball. You really want to be in college ball? Stop hanging out with people you're hanging out with. Do better in online school. Stop smoking weed. Stop partying. You know what I mean? I could go on and on, but the choices you make in life is really what prevents you from reaching the next step in your goal. So, but I'm not going to pull a Dan Pena on you guys, Show me your friends, I'll show you your future. That's really the truth. But
But yeah, man, more to come with that kind of stuff. One of the things too is, I hate to say it, but one of the other things I saw, you kind of made the comment that a lot of guys want to get that exposure. A lot of it too, man, comes down to guys wanting to take a chance on themselves. The league, in essence, can only do so much, right? Like, I hate to say it, but obviously, has there been issues with the huddle at times and things like that? Yeah, there has been, right? I hate to say it, but that's one thing we're working on as well. But a lot of the guys don't just take the time and want to put in the work either. We get a lot of stuff where people want something done but don't want to put the work in to get it done either. Yep. So. Well,
I mean, let's look at Richard Mitchell. If that's the Owls fan, your teammate. Yeah. He said it. I got the red zone shot. I saw his whole little script of, if you're not willing to risk it on yourself, then why say anything? Everything in life is a risk, man. Me and Raph, we didn't realize, 4 years ago, $30,000 risk would turn into what we're building now.
Right.
It was we calculated the risk and realized it was something we were worth. We could live with the failure.
Yeah.
But I couldn't live with not knowing if we didn't try.
Yeah, rather not if it would work. So. Long story short of that, man, we are working on it. It's something more where, like I said, we are focused on it, because one thing, we've kind of talked about is we don't want it to just be a semi-pro football league, right? Like, there's so much more that you guys will start to see over the coming seasons, the coming weeks, and I mean all kinds of different stuff. But it obviously, it's going to take time, and it also is going to take the effort on the players as well, along with the coaches, everybody. It's a buy-in, and not everyone has that. So we'll get there.
It's going to take trimming some fat too.
I mean, we'll talk through that as well. So that'll kind of come along with it, but that'll be more of a in the future kind of thing. Yeah. So we'll get there.
Cool. All right, guys, look forward to the games tomorrow. I'll be there, but I won't be there. If you need anything, you find Bush, Raph, Rob, or Steven. They'll be able to help you out. And be safe. Let's have a fun weekend. I apologize in advance to the 4 teams that lose.
Yep. Hey, it is what it is. There's got to be a winner and a loser.
Yeah. So
just like the the Knicks are going to go in and win the championship this year. Shout out to the New York Knicks. Thank you. We can sign off now.
We can sign off now.
I'd just like to throw that in there. But no, fellas, good luck tomorrow. Everybody, we'll see y'all at the fields.
Yep, have a good one.